Welcome to lesson 1, the basics of project proposals. In this lesson, we'll talk about the basics of project proposals, and then we'll cover the basic elements within a project proposals. Now let's jump into it. A project proposal is a formal document that outlines the objectives, scope, methodology, and deliverable of a proposed project. The project proposal serves as a blueprint or roadmap for the project, which provides key information to stakeholders, sponsors, and decision makers to evaluate and approve the project's initiation. So we develop project proposal during the project initiation phase, which is the first phase in project management lifecycle. And at this phase, we design the project, coming up with the project idea, the project proposed objectives, methodology, the scope, and the deliverable. And we also come up with the project budget and other key things that we outline within the project proposal. At this stage, our aim and objective is to get the project approved so that they can move to the next step in the planning phase. It's important to know that the project proposal is an important document that is used for resource mobilization. It is important to gain support of stakeholders. It's important to gain support of funders and donors. With the project proposal, we are able to gather relevant information about the project and communicate that information to stakeholders in a structured and systematic way to convince them about the project that they need to support. Now let's look at some of the basic elements in a project proposal. Number 1, a project title. The project title is a clear and concise title that reflects the essence of the project. For example, Youth Empowerment for Community Development. Okay, so there are several ways you can come up with the project title. But it's important to note that the project title should be short and it should be concise enough. That means it should communicate the essence of the project. The project proposal should also contain executive summary. The executive summary is the overview of the entire proposal, which highlights the importance, objectives, and the expected outcomes of the project. It should also capture the reader's attention and provide summary of the entire proposal. So if someone will not read the entire proposal, at least the executive summary should be able to provide an in-depth understanding or overview of the entire proposal. Introduction. An introduction to the proposal will cover background information, context of the project, and the problem or opportunity that the project aims to address. So this is also an important aspect to win the reader's mind to your project, because if you provide the background information, research information, and you provide the problem statement and opportunity that you identify, this can give you a lot of advantage in getting the readers or the funders to approve your project. Project objectives. It's also important to define the project specific objectives that will be achieved. And here you need to outline the objectives, and they must be SMART. The objectives should be measurable, specific, it should be attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Meaning, every objective we have in our proposal should be specific to specific issues that we have identified in the problem statement. It should also be measurable in that we are able to achieve it and see and know we are achieving. It should be attainable, meaning that we are able to achieve it. Okay, it should be relevant, important, and it should be time-bound. A project proposal should also contain the scope. These are the key elements. A scope. The scope has to do with the boundaries and limitations of the project. Every project must be limited in terms of scope, limited in budget, limited in time, limited in resources. And so what the project will include and what the project will exclude should be included in the project proposal, meaning that the project scope should be well defined in terms of what the project will consider and what the project will not consider. And this is very critical because every project must be addressing specific issues, and you do not have all the resources to solve the problems entirely. And so you need to have a focus point on the project that is looking at the project scope. Take, for instance, the number of beneficiaries will be limited. the budget will be limited, the number of staff will be limited, the community that will be targeted will be limited. So there are a lot of limitations and boundaries that the project must look at and be able to set your expectations realistically. The reason that scope is important is because it helps to manage stakeholders' expectations. So if they are thinking higher than what the project can do, with your scope, you are easily able to tell them the focus and limitation of the project. Methodology. The project methodology outlines the project scope, the project approach, and the project methods that you're going to use in executing the project. In the methodology, you need to explain how the project will be organized, the different tasks or activities that you need to carry on, and the timeline for completion of the project. Project deliverable. The project deliverable has to do with the tangible or intangible outcomes that the project will produce as a result of the project activities. This could include the project reports, prototype, software, research findings, and other relevant outputs that will be produced from the project. Project resources. The resources have to do with the overview of the resources such as human resources. This could be project team members, project stakeholders, etc. And you also have equipment that you need to use on the project, facilities for training and other activities, budgetary considerations. These are resources. So in resource sessions, we have financial resources, we got human resources, we got material resources, and we also have equipment on the other hand. So it may also include the risk assessment and mitigation plan in terms of the resources. Then we have the project timeline. The project timeline or project schedule outlines the major milestones, tasks, and their expected durations. So every activity we have on our project, every task we have on our project should be timed, in that we should be able to do them within a time frame. Remember, projects are implemented within specific times, start and end date. So our project should have a specific timeline for all the different activities so that we can be clear on when are we going to do this, when are we going to complete this, and when are we going to start this. Evaluation and measurement. The project should have a clear plan on how we're going to evaluate the success and progress of the project. This includes key performance indicators, metrics, and other things that we need to evaluate and measure progress and outcomes. This session should also outline how will the project be monitored and controlled during the execution phase. Then we have sustainability and impact. We should also explain the impact, the long-term impact and sustainability of the project and the potential impact on the organization, the stakeholders, and the broader community. We have conclusion. Conclusion is a summary that restates the overall points of the project, which has to do with the important areas. And then we can summarize or more emphasize on the value and the benefits of the project. We have the epidates or annexes. This is a supporting document such as graphs, charts, references, or additional information that we need to provide to give further details about the project. Now, in conclusion, remember that the project proposal serves as a blueprint or a roadmap for the project. It provides key information to stakeholders, sponsors, and decision makers to evaluate and approve the project's initiation. Key note: the project proposal is used as a document to make decisions for funding. And so make sure that you consider all these key elements we outlined in this lesson. Thanks for completing this lesson. Hope to see you in the next lesson.